Endtime believes America will stand up to the world government and help defend Israel in the end time. Of late, it hasn't seemed likely or even possible that the United States would do this. However, with the uptick in the reported Omicron cases and the increase in COVID restrictions, there seems to be a dividing line being drawn in the U.S. In fact, former Army generals are urging us to prepare for civil war. Could the strong stance on both sides of all things COVID create clarification on the identity of the United States and lead us into our God-given purpose? Let's talk about it. Welcome to End of the Age. I'm Ben Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're taking your calls today. The number to join us is 877-ENDTIME, 877-363-8463. We're excited about today's topic, Doug, for a number of reasons.
Yes.
Why are you giggling?
Because there's just so much about this. It's just crazy.
This is a very serious topic. We're not supposed to laugh. You should know this by now.
I feel like, we're headed down that road.
Yes. Well, it's an important subject.
Mm-hmm.
One, because we've talked about it a lot here, how we believe that America is going to side with Israel.
Right.
Defend Israel at the Battle of Armageddon and not be part of the one world government system.
Right.
Well.
And the reason for that, Revelation 12:14, because I want everybody to know that comes from the Bible, why we believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to make that clear. That's why we believe that.
Yeah, so with that being said, when there are socialistic ideas that come up that are in favor of the world government, people stop and go, how in the world are we going to get from where we are with America being on board with the United Nations agenda in a lot of ways?
Right.
To a time when we are standing against that.
Right.
Well, that's hard to answer for us right now, right?
Yeah, because this administration in particular is pushing us toward that one world government beast. It's almost like he wants to run that one world government beast sometimes, the way that he's throwing things around and making threats to folks and everything that's going on. So, it's interesting because at this point in time, we have people that ask all the time, Vince, well, how are we going to get there to be helping Israel during the Great Tribulation if we're at this point right now where they're forcing mandates on people, they're getting us back into these one world government treaties and things like that. It is kind of hard to see. So we're watching a time that's just, to me, it's an amazing time because there's so much happening. And like I told you today, we could have done a 2-hour program today.
And I said, we should do that bonus hour on End of the Age Plus.
Yeah.
But to get to where we actually stand up against this world government agenda, it's like for that to happen, it seems like the country is divided, almost 50-50 it seems, on many topics. So for us to get to where we actually agree on something, you either have to have somebody just take over and say, we don't care about what the other half of you think,
right,
and do the thing, or you have to have a bunch of people change their opinion.
Right.
And so we go, there has to be something. And then when we see stories in the news of former Army generals saying, prepare for civil war, we got to go, man, it feels like something's happening in our culture to where we could be getting to a time where we, clearly identify what we believe and leave everyone else behind, whatever that means.
Right.
And since we believe America is going to stand up to the world government, we think we know what that might mean.
Yeah.
And so?
Yeah, there's got to come a time where things are going to change in this country. And like, I guess one of the things that I want to clarify right out of the gate here, Vince, is to let people know that we're not against somebody being fully vaccinated. We're not against your views on that at all. And we're not standing up for one side or the other right now about that situation. But what we're saying is...
And you're saying we're like, End Time doesn't come in and say,
right,
don't do this or do that.
Right.
We're not here to give you advice in that regard.
Exactly. But what we are against is we're against people being forced to do something that they don't want to do when it comes to, this situation. So it's...
Or any situation.
Yeah, when the government's telling us that, you have to do this or you can't buy groceries or you have to do this or you cannot participate in society, then that's infringing on our freedoms and it goes against everything that this country stands for. So,
yeah.
But, that's a whole nother topic. Nationalism is a whole nother topic.
Well, it's
now.
part of it.
It is. All of this
is part of what we're saying here.
It's all rooted together.
Because if you're a nationalist, you are adamantly opposed to what many people believe here.
Yeah.
And so if we don't believe that, then how are we going to get to where we defend Israel?
Yeah.
We wouldn't. We'd be part of that world government system if we didn't.
Right.
So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about this today. It's a critical topic that we need to know about. We need to know what the Bible has to say about it. We need to know what's going on in current events. And so we're going to highlight some things going on in our country that seem to be put there to be divisive. Whether it is or not, it is divisive. And so we're going to look at that and say, there's some dividing lines being drawn here. How is this going to lead to a time where we stand against world government and stand up for Israel? And so we're going to take a look at some stories today that, honestly, one of them in particular that about New York just will absolutely blow your mind. I had no clue this was happening in the United States until I saw this, and so we wanted to be sure to share it with you so you're also aware. We'll get to that later. We are coming up against a break. We want you to know that you can call and join us today. The number is 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463. The subject we're talking about today is extremely critical. There are people that you are friends with on Facebook or friends with on YouTube or whatever that will be impacted by this information. So we want you to know that if you share this video, it's going to help educate them on what's going on in the world and also what the Bible had to say about it. So share this video. Make sure this information could change someone's life. So share this video, help them see what's going on in current events through a lens of Bible prophecy. Also, before we get to that break, I want to remind you of our Christmas specials going on. This is the week of Christmas, Doug.
It is.
We're excited about that. But also we have 7 deals that are available. One of them is End of the Age Plus. We have a online prophecy weekend coming up next month, and if you're an End of the Age Plus subscriber, you'll get free access to that. So with the special going on for Christmas, you can certainly make that happen today. Go to watch.endtime.com, or you can go to endtime.com/Christmas to see all our deals. Of course, End of the Age Plus is only online. Jerusalem Prophecy College is also there, that's only online. So go to endtime.com/Christmas to check those out, or give us a call at 800-END-TIME. Stay tuned for more information about what's going on. Get 7 deals of Christmas starting now. Do you remember that feeling you had as a kid during the holidays? You were so excited you couldn't sleep. What experience and gifts would you receive this year? The atmosphere at Endtime is nearly the same. We're excited these 7 deals are available through the end of 2021. Why are we so thrilled? Because we know these resources transform lives, and that's even more fun than Christmas, especially in these tough times. For the remainder of 2021, you can get deals like an End of the Age Plus subscription for $9.87 per month or just $99 per year, Jerusalem Prophecy College enrollment for $35 per course, or my personal favorite, our brand new package, Irvin's Last Words. This is a 5 DVD set that includes Irvin's last sermon, conference, TV show, and radio show, valued at over $100, but we're going to give it to you free with a donation of any amount. Go to endtime.com/Christmas to access these exclusive deals through the end of the year. You can also call 800-END-TIME.
Hi, I'm Judy Baxter. When Irvin and I got married, we didn't realize that our calling would be a prophetic ministry. Since we started End Time Ministries, there have been many times We weren't sure how we would pay the bills, but God has always provided. We started with the magazine, then went on radio and TV, and now we have the Jerusalem Prophecy College in Israel and online and End of the Age Plus. The mission has always been to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and the end-time message. Through the years, my husband would say, we will see revival like never before in the last days. We are living in the end time now. Thank you for walking this journey with us and continuing in prayer. You are a part of the team. Thank you for your generous support. It is necessary for God's purpose. The most important thing is that you are ready when the Lord comes. Our hope is to help prepare you for that day. God bless you, and we love you.
Welcome back to End of the Age. Join Doug and I by calling 877-ENDTIME, 877-363-8463. Do you think we'll see a civil war like some retired Army generals are warning us about? What do you think about the divisive actions that are happening in America? We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question about Bible prophecy and how America will stand against the world government or stand up for Israel. If you have a comment about any of these things, we'd love to hear from you. 877-END-TIME is the number to call. All right, Doug, let's get right into it. You know, one of the big divisive things going on, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised by this because it hasn't felt divisive to many, but it's kind of slyly being divisive, and that's the coronavirus.
Right.
Did you realize that was a divisive thing going on, or
yeah,
am I surprising you with that announcement?
Not at all. Not at all. I've got family members that are divisive about it.
Yeah, I think we all do. It's interesting.
Absolutely.
And people that we go to church with, and people that you're around all the time. It's like this is just how it is.
Yeah.
I guess it's how it is on everything. But it seems particularly more divisive because it's the highlight of every single. Like today, I'm sitting here, we're talking, and I'm going. Literally every minute there's something new about it. It's unbelievable. But we now have Christmas coming up, New Year's, a time when a lot of people gather together, whether it be at church or in their homes. Yeah. And we have the Omicron cases being talked about nonstop around the clock.
Yeah.
An article from Reuters says it talks about how the cases have hit the fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so they're talking about these things and they're going, okay, here's what's happening to the fully vaccinated, and here's what's happening to the unvaccinated, and here's why you need to do this, and here's why you need to do that, and here's why if you think this way, you should be against people that think that way. And divisive is what it boils down to. But the article says most of the 43 COVID-19 cases caused by the Omicron variant, and this was a few weeks ago, identified in the U.S. so far were in people who were fully vaccinated, and a third of them had received a booster dose. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that of the 43 cases attributed to Omicron variant, 34 people have been fully vaccinated. 14 of them had also received a booster, although 5 of those cases occurred less than 14 days after the additional shot before full protection kicks in. While the numbers are very small, they add to growing concerns that current COVID-19 vaccines may offer less protection against the highly transmittable new variant. So there's that.
Right. And just so you know, today I found an article from yesterday that was explaining that the numbers have gone up here, but still it's very high. The percentage is very high of the people who are contacting this and getting sick with the Omicron have been the fully vaccinated. And so now what they're doing in the article I read today that I didn't put it in here, but one of the things that they were doing was explaining what the symptoms were. The symptoms are a headache, a cough, and fatigue. That's the symptoms. So if you have that, that's a common cold. I mean, a lot of people, especially this time of year, have a cough, headache, and a little bit of fatigue going on. But that's been the major factor of it. It's not hitting people the way that I feel like they're really blowing it up. And
and they'll say this is because of the concern of what is possible.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. This could turn out to be horrible.
I think I saw, I don't want to misrepresent, I saw someone very prominent that we would know their name, and this is why I'm not saying their name because I'm not exactly sure what they said, but it was essentially this. This could be the most contagious
variant
that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, and that's exactly what he said. So,
Well, yeah, I couldn't remember the quote exactly, so I don't want to misrepresent. But nonetheless, that's what's being pushed.
Well, if you remember, and I know you do, but if the folks out there remember, that we did back in the summertime, we had a story where someone from Project Veritas exposed a CNN director. And this floor director of CNN was exposing how they really pumped the numbers up and really kept the fear going because it was driving their agenda. It was driving what they were trying to do. Folks, they're doing it again. And that's kind of what we want you to understand, is that it's not as bad as what we're hearing. Even where it started in Africa, the doctors over there said it's no more than the common cold. And they felt like they were pumping things up. Well, why are they doing that? And that's what we're going to explore today. Why are they doing this? What is the purpose behind? We've got to get all of you vaccinated, and we've got to really just pump the fear in to scare everybody to death, because now here we are at Christmas and everybody's about to get together, so we got to scare everybody, so that
But
you
why?
can't come
Why
together.
is that a problem?
Which part?
Which is that we've got to scare everybody because it's Christmas time.
Well, because they know everybody's getting together, so it'll be a push that, if you're going to get together with your family, if you're going to save grandma and grandpa, you got to go get your vaccine.
And if you didn't, then you shouldn't get together for Christmas. So
Right.
therefore, it's making people say, "Are you going to mom's for dinner?" Well, but did you get vaccinated?
Right.
And so maybe you should stay home if you didn't. And so it's the divisiveness that we're highlighting
That's
today.
exactly what's going on too. Do you want to show the video from the European news report where they're talking about it? Because it's very confusing, but the reporter really is just stating facts at the end of this. We wanted to show it to you.
Tell us at this stage, how many people are in hospital this morning with Omicron?
There's 774.
In hospital?
Oh, sorry, that's total hospitalizations in the last 7 days. With Omicron, there's 10 cases with Omicron. Maybe going up to 11, actually. That wasn't confirmed yet, but I think it's probably gone up to 11.
How many deaths?
The deaths were 100 and... Oh, I don't have the actual
From
figure,
Omicron?
Oh,
From
Omicron. Oh, sorry, Kay. No, we don't have. We've had one death with Omicron so far.
And how many of those 10 people with Omicron are on ventilators?
I don't think there's anybody that I'm aware of on a ventilator with Omicron.
Okay. Professor Whitty saying people should be
So
prioritising...
what you're getting at is the severity of the... You're getting at the severity of the disease, which is one of the unknowns.
There's 10 people in hospital, one of them's died, the other 10 are not on ventilators. Those are facts.
So those are the facts, Vince. Give us the facts. Did you hear the pumped up numbers, 700 and something? And then she's like, "Oh, you're talking about Omicron. Okay, so let's give you this." And so there's 10 people at that point that were in the hospital, none of them on ventilators, and one person had died. And so,
Those numbers have changed now, of course.
Well, sure they have.
But the idea is,
let's present the facts, the real facts about things, and not try to pump numbers up and try to scare everybody. And that's what that reporter was getting at is, I just want the facts. I'm just simply asking you facts. You saw how quickly that person that was given those statistics, she kind of got, to the point of, "Oh, well, we can't suppress how important this is." And she said, "I'm just asking you for facts. I just need to know. There's 10 people in the hospital. Nobody's on a respirator. One person died." So now that's the facts. So it's that kind of thing. We're seeing them. It's almost like they want to project this up to be something more than it is. And when you do that, when fear sets into people, Vince, you know how it is. If somebody's deathly afraid of something, then the other survival instincts kick in, and so arguments come after that, and then, well, you're killing everybody because you didn't get vaccinated, and this, it can turn into something very bad. We've seen other videos where that's happened. Some of those have been debunked, and they've said that wasn't a real video, and that altercation didn't really happen. But I know for a fact, I watched a video where a woman said as soon as the vaccine became available for babies, that it was all bets are off. She was going to cough on everybody that was unvaccinated, and she hoped they died, is
She
what
did
she
say
said.
that.
Yeah, it was
I
crazy.
saw it as well. She definitely said that.
Yeah, so that's...
We're not going to play it here, but
no,
she did say that.
Yeah, well, we don't have it. If I could have found it, I might have played it. But yes, she did say that.
Okay, well, let's get to the phones. Some interesting thoughts are going to come in on all these things. We're talking about the divisiveness of what's happening and how in the world is America going to recover from this to a point where they stand up against the world government and stand up for Israel. And so we're just presenting some information because right now it's super divisive. As you all know, everywhere you look, this is happening. And so we've got some interesting perspective coming in on the calls. You can join us too, 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463. Let's go to Lynn in New York. Lynn, welcome to End of the Age.
Hi. I'm not taking a side, but I just have a little food for thought.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can.
Now, all right. Now, I'm a school teacher. Now, children have always had to be vaccinated to be in school. Nobody ever felt that their rights were violated. I was one of the first kids to have the polio vaccine back in the 1950s. So why is this so different that everybody feels their rights are being vaccinated when we've always had to be vaccinated before and you couldn't even go to school without being vaccinated? So I'm just interested in your thoughts.
Well, Lynn, one of the things that I would say the difference is here is with the vaccinations that have been done in the past, they were tested and they were proved that everything was okay. And we didn't have numbers of people who were having reactions to those vaccines. And with this particular thing, it was experimented, it was done very quickly, it was passed out to the public very quickly, and we've seen numbers where there have been people that have had reactions to this, and it's not safe for everyone like they're telling everybody it is.
Doug, you're going to get me going on this one because I think we agree on this, but I would say that there should have never been vaccination requirements. I believe in medical freedom, and I don't think we should be able to tell kids unless you do X, Y, Z, you can't come to school.
Yeah.
And so now it's pushed over into you can't come to work if you don't have this. You're not going to be able to board a plane. You're not going to be able to do all sorts of things. Now, we're not entirely there yet in the United States, but there's a story we're going to share from New York where well, you're from New York. You probably know more about this than we do. The legislation that they're presenting where they could take people that are considered a health risk and put them in a camp. And so this is coming to America and it violates our freedoms. And so I don't think it's that different on a school level because and by the way, there were exemptions for, at least when I was growing up, there were exemptions that could be made, and there are many schools that aren't even allowing that. And so I don't think it's entirely different, but there are some differences in that it's spread out certainly past schools.
Well, I understand your point about it not being safe, and I'll go with that. Absolutely. I understand that. But as far as the rights being violated, I wasn't totally on board with that. But sure, I could see people saying that it hasn't been tested thoroughly.
Are you in New York?
Much.
Are you in New York City,
Yes.
Lynn?
No, I'm not in New York City. I'm in upstate New York. I moved from New York City because I just didn't want to. It was too people-y.
Well, I think in New York City, you can't even get into any grocery store, any restaurant without showing proof of vaccination or have a mask on still. Is that?
Okay.
So to me, I'm going,
like
that's where it's a lot different than, I don't think they've ever said if you don't have the flu vaccine, you can't get into the grocery store.
Right.
No, yeah, okay. I see your point. I just wanted your perspective.
We appreciate
Thank you,
your call.
Lynn.
We love having conversations like these. So thank you very much for joining us today, Lynn. You can join us too at 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463. There aren't very many lines open, so if you're going to join us, you should do it soon. We do want to share a few more articles before we get back to the phones, but Biden has sided with some of this divisive language here, Doug. And, here's another thing, Doug. I wonder, okay, how divisive did it seem when other things were being presented in the past? Like, people that totally side with what Biden's saying, did they feel like it was divisive when this wasn't happening? I don't know how to answer that, but I've wondered that. But Biden just released, I think it was yesterday, he says it's here now and it's spreading and it's going to increase regarding the Omicron variant while meeting with his coronavirus response team. For unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death. If you're unvaccinated for themselves, their families, and the hospitals they will soon overwhelm. But there's good news. If you are vaccinated and have your booster shot, you're protected from severe illness and death. On Wednesday, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said she expected reports of Omicron cases in the U.S. to increase in the coming days.
Yeah, so that was kind of a dark prediction that he made, I thought.
I don't know if the White House has ever released a statement quite like that.
No, I don't know if they have either.
Very, very strong language. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we didn't get back to me interrupting you. I'm sorry about that. And I think we agree on those things that I was saying that.
Absolutely.
I don't know that they should have ever required that to be in school. But
yeah,
when you have a government-operated school, what do you expect? Sorry, we've moved on to a government statement.
Right. And so once again, there's that fact-based America that had the article that I didn't put the whole article in there, but the reports from the CDC reveals that nearly 79% of Omicron cases have been among the vaccinated patients, not unvaccinated people. 79%, and this was just on the 18th that this article came out.
Yeah, and so the argument is they're making it seem this way because of the potential.
Right.
The thing that we don't know yet.
Well, they're making the unvaccinated people the villain here, that they're the reason why all this is happening. If you would just get vaccinated, Vince, it wouldn't matter.
Well, we'll have more to say about that, and so will you on the other side of the break. Join us, 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463.
Whether it's a global pandemic, threat of war, or floundering economies, end-time events are happening around the world every day. How can you have peace in a world of such great uncertainty? With the Endtime magazine subscription, you can gain a deeper understanding of current events and its prophesied repercussions. Endtime magazine's exclusive content and prophetic insight allows you to understand where we are in the end time. It will give you peace when horrific news and events happen. When you subscribe today to Endtime magazine for 12 months for just $19.99, you can have hope for the future because you will understand what the Bible says about the time we are living in. You'll get access to exclusive articles like the prophesied American-Israeli alliance, Endtime do's and don'ts, and could school choice save America? Subscribe for you or a friend right now. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-ENDTIME.
The symbols and prophecies within the book of Revelation have perplexed Christians and unbelievers around the world. In his final work, Revelation, The Unveiling of Jesus Christ Part 2, the late Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding. Don't miss this special offer. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
Welcome back to End of the Age. Don't forget we have our Christmas specials at endtime.com/Christmas. Several great items there, and one of my favorites is the Irvin's Last Words package. It's a 5-disc set, and it's Irvin's last words, his last sermon, his last TV show, radio show, and conference. And so there's 5 lessons in there that will tremendously bless your life. There's, literally the last words of Irvin, and it's kind of a collector's item. We've only made 1,000 of them. I think there's only 400 available last time I heard about it. So You know, it's there for you, available at endtime.com/Christmas, or you can call 800-ENDTIME. The cool thing about Irvin's Last Words is it's available for a donation of any amount. So whatever the Lord lays on your heart to give, you can do that. $5, $500, whatever the amount is, that's totally fine. But you can check that deal out as well as the other ones at endtime.com/Christmas. All right, Doug, we have another video we want to get to. I know our calls are full. Lynn introduced quite the topic, and people are wanting to respond to Lynn. I will say in advance, we are not interested in making today's show a debate about vaccinations. However, we are talking about the divisive nature of our country, and of course, obviously there's a lot to be divisive about when you start talking about vaccinations. That's not the point. Our point is we are not going to comply with the world government system, and we are going to stand up with Israel. And so how are we going to get there from here, Doug? It seems like it's going to require division to the point where somebody comes out and says, here's how we are, and get on board, or the bus is leaving.
Yeah.
And so it seems like with all that's going on, and then like we mentioned before, the rumors of the Civil War, of saying that we need to prepare for a Civil War, boy, it feels like we're getting there more than we've ever been. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a crazy topic to think about. Like you said, we could talk for 2 hours about it, probably more than that.
Yeah.
But there's a video that you wanted to hit that.
Yeah, so let me just kind of set this up a little bit for those who are listening and can't actually see the video. This is at the World Economic Forum. So you got to ask yourself, why are they having this conversation? But it is you're going to hear one of the Pfizer CEOs speak about the new technology they have. And this is not necessarily talking about the COVID vaccine. This is just talking about technology that they have to put in medicine. So I want you to hear this, because it has been conspiracy theory for a while that they put things in vaccines and things like that. Well, now it seems like this particular video
this isn't about vaccinations, though.
It's about medication.
Yeah.
It's just about a pill,
yeah.
But it's a pill with a tracking device in it. So let's play that video and let them hear it.
There's no guarantee that the patient is going to take the drug or wear the device. So how are you thinking about technology to engage the patient?
Yeah. Again, maybe I will use an example. I think it's fascinating what's happening in this field right now. I mean, FDA approved the first electronic pill, if I can call it like that. So it is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet, and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
So, first of all, for the people that can't see, who is this guy?
This guy is a CEO of Pfizer,
okay,
which is one of the manufacturers.
I think everybody knows the name by now.
Yeah. Brought to you by Pfizer.
So,
so this guy is basically saying now the FDA. Now think about this, because the FDA has approved this vaccine.
Hey, we should also say, where is he? He's not at
World
home making a
Economic
video
Forum.
in his basement.
Yeah.
It's the World Economic Forum. The
Yeah.
CEO of Pfizer is saying this.
Yeah.
A pill? He said an electronic pill, if I could call it that.
Yeah, what did he say? A biotechnical?
I'm not
it's
smart.
very, very, very interesting, but there's a chip in the pill, basically, to dumb it down for folks like me. That
I did hear a word, compliance.
Yes. So he's saying this way you would be able to transmit the signal that you have taken it. So, see, when I say this is conspiracy theory, up to this point, it's been conspiracy theory that this was one of the things they wanted to do with this vaccine, is put some type of electronic device in it to where they could track people that had taken it. You could scan your phone over it. We actually have seen a video from Switzerland where they're talking about injecting it in their chip that they use there, and they use it to open doors and do all kinds of things there. So,
this isn't theory.
Right.
This isn't us speculating on what could be happening.
Right.
We played the video for you all to hear and see.
And the FDA's already approved that. So think about that. So anyway,
same with the Switzerland story, though.
Yeah,
they're doing that. It's not theory,
right?
It's being published all around the world that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So,
and compliance, like you said, was one of the key words we pick up on. So then we know that we have compliance out of the people that we're telling you must take this. So it's coming down to a point. Is it about control? What is this about? It's getting to the point to where the conspiracy theories you hear now, you're starting to go, well, okay, now they don't sound so crazy because we're starting to see evidence of this. So why would they want something where they could do that? Why has Papers, Please been instituted in the past? And that's leading us up to what we're about to talk about in New York.
Well, we need to hit this German thing that's going on. The
absolutely.
German health minister, you wanted to highlight that, and it's right along these lines. There's a very clear dividing line. I think that's the whole point behind all of it. It's who's on board with this agenda and who's not.
Right.
It's going to be very easy to tell them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question of why, which we could go down, a lot of speculation on that. But
right. But when we get in Bible prophecy, we know why. I mean, that's what we talk about every day. So we know why, but it's just we're seeing this begin to be pushed out there, and like you said, the dividing lines.
And this is why we don't have to be scared, because we know why.
Yeah.
There might be some details we don't know. Is it the beheading or the razor blade to the fingers, or what is it going to be? I don't know, but but we know the end result, and so we can have hope and peace.
Absolutely.
And all these things that we're going to be able to stand up against any type of stronghold that comes our way, and we'll be able to fight through it. And if we don't, guess what? That's a early ticket to heaven and to be with Jesus. And so in spite of what might be coming, or what we might be attempted to use scare tactics on us to do things in our society, we have a hope, and we don't have to be so scared about these things.
Right.
We've known this was coming for so long. It shouldn't be a surprise that we're finally here. It just seems like it happened overnight.
Right.
And so it's kind of shocking. But the thing in Germany, you wanted to highlight that.
Yeah. So the German health minister, he called for immediate forced vaccination of the entire population of Germany. The comments come a week after Angela Merkel's successor in Germany declared that there would be no red lines in the battle against the current wave of COVID, which he declared to be fueled by unvaccinated citizens. So once again, we see there's a red line, and there's going to be people that are on the vaccinated side and the unvaccinated side. And this, he declares war, basically. It's a battle against the current wave of COVID, which he declared to be fueled by unvaccinated citizens. This new Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that he supports vaccine mandates across Germany, noting that he intends to vote for a compulsory vaccination because it is legally permissible and morally right. So they're getting ready to force everyone in Germany to take the vaccine. And when they talk about it being a war on COVID, it's not just a war on COVID. He also talked about the unvaccinated in that war. And we've seen protests in Germany. We've seen videos of the protests that are happening there.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Because there are tens of thousands of people who say,
right,
ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so then how does this all work? And we're going to watch it play out. And we need to be in prayer about this, because wherever you fall on this, there is going to be very problematic circumstances for many people. And so we need to pray that, God gives us all wisdom and helps us to be wise as we navigate these circumstances. And we are going to get back to the phones now. Again, we aren't trying to host a debate about vaccinations. We are simply trying to say there's major divisive things being talked about in our country. Is that leading us to a point where America separates and says, we're not standing up for this world government agenda? We think it is. We don't know exactly how all that will play out, but nonetheless, we will go to the phones. Let's go to Josh in Florida. Josh, welcome to End of the Age.
Hi, thank you for having me on. I understand you're not doing a show about vaccines, but I appreciate you letting me on to respond to the previous caller. Different perspective, I'm a parent in North Florida with 3 school-age children, and in Florida, you've always had the right to basically prevent your child from being vaccinated with any type of vaccine. This isn't a non-existent right that people are just suddenly talking about. We've got two state forms. One is a religious exemption. The other one is a medical exemption. There's been a long history of the rising cases of autism, and a lot of people, including medical doctors, believe it has to do with some of the adjuvants they put in normal vaccinations that cause that heavy immune response, and it doesn't work out well for young children. So this debate's been around for a while, but I'd like to point out something about this so-called COVID vaccine. When we use the term vaccination, most of us are operating off of the definition that existed 3-4 years ago, which was a substance that basically gave the body immunity, right? The CDC has changed the definition of vaccination twice since this has come out, and now it's basically being sold as a therapeutic, which gives you no immunity at all. It just treats symptoms, right? So it's not a vaccine. This is gene editing technology, and it's unfortunately there's no reset switch or reverse switch. Once you inject this into your body, you have no way of turning it off. That's the danger of it. That's why it's not, to the previous caller, that's why we're upset. We don't want the state to make a permanent decision for our children.
And Josh, you and Vince could sit down and have a cup of coffee and have a great conversation.
We sure could.
It's unfortunately it's I don't want to get into it, but as far as divisiveness, I'll answer that question this way: the wisdom of our founding fathers and the providence of God establishing our nation created many redundant forms of government, and what we're seeing now is the first layer of federalism falling apart, right? And in states like Florida, where I'm from, you're seeing what the founding fathers intended to happen, right? But in states like New York, you're seeing, the failure of certain forms of government. So are we going to break apart as a nation? I don't know, maybe, but I think our nation can handle it, because if we break apart at the federal government level, we revert back to state governments, and we have redundant forms of government below that. So it's not like it's going to be a complete Mad Max scenario. So my advice to everybody is, if you live in a blue state, flee the blue state. You would much rather be living in Florida in a car, homeless, than you would in a mansion in New York or Seattle when they come for your children and when you can't get a bite to eat because you don't have that injection in your arm. Anyway, I appreciate the time.
Josh,
Great
we
call,
we
Josh.
appreciate your call. If you're ever in the Dallas area, hit me up. I'd love to get together. We do thank you. That's a good dad right there, I would say. He's a man that is invested into his family and his children, and he's educated, and he knows what he believes. And so we need more dads like that to be involved in their kids' lives. We will talk more about all this on the other side of the break. I can assure you, you don't want to go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
I've been part of the Endtime family from the beginning over 30 years ago when my parents, Irvin and Judy Baxter, began ministry from the recliner in our living room. My name is Jana Robbins. I have the pleasure of connecting with our incredible partners every day. Endtime is a small nonprofit that runs a high-traffic website, a daily TV and radio show, the Prophecy College in Jerusalem, and more. Although we have less than 30 team members, we are able to serve tens of millions of people each month. We survive on the goodness of God and donations averaging about $50. If everyone hearing this message gave $22, our financial needs would be met for the year. If you only give to one cause per month, please consider partnering with Endtime to help get the message of our soon-coming King out to the world. Call us at 1-800-ENDTIME to give today, or go to endtime.com to become a monthly or one-time partner.
Welcome back to End of the Age. I'm Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're talking about the rumors of a civil war happening in the U.S. that former Army generals are warning the Pentagon about. And we're also looking at divisive content that's being pushed out around the world, but specifically here in America, and what it's trying to do to our nation. And now, a lot of fear tactics are being used. It's a lot of divisive language, and it's working. And we're looking at it going, well, the Bible says we're going to stand up against a world government agenda. We are going to stand behind Israel up until the end of the Battle of Armageddon, the end of the age, that is, when Jesus returns. And so, how do we get from where we are to there? Could it be a major divisive situation that separates the sides and we all end up thinking more similarly than we did? We don't know. We're looking at that and trying to see what we can come up with. There are a couple more stories we want to get to before we go back to the calls. The one that's so huge, Doug, and we won't read the whole thing, but it's legislation that was introduced in New York some time ago, but it's kind of making I guess it's kind of getting out there a little bit more now than what it was. Do you have any specific points you want to highlight there, other than reading what's in that legislation?
I think once we read at least that blue highlighted part there in the middle of that, that's the big part to me that really should just grab everybody's attention.
This is not a journalist writing it. It's not anybody on the Endtime team. This is straight from the legislation. It says, may order the removal and or detention of such a person or of a group of such persons by issuing a single order identifying such persons either by name or by a reasonably specific description of the individuals or group being detained. Such person or group of persons shall be detained in a medical facility or other appropriate facility or premises. Now, what in the world is that talking about?
Well, one of the reasons why this should get everybody's attention is, for one thing, we know that there's a time of great tribulation coming, that Christians are going to be persecuted even more than they've ever been persecuted before. Christians and Jews, we know, we always hit it from that perspective of Israel, but here lately, Vince, in the media, you've seen where Christians are specifically targeted because a majority of Christians are the ones that are against this mandate and these things like this. We see the freedoms that are being taken from us. We know what Scripture says, and we have the loudest voice about it. We've seen churches be shut down during the 2020 pandemic. We've seen pastors persecuted and arrested for having church outside. All these things. This bill right here, if it were to pass and they could do something, it says a group of individuals.
It says that New York can indefinitely, even suspected opponents of significant threat to public health, can detain you.
Yeah,
and put you in
as long as they want.
They don't call it a camp. Put you in a medical facility or other appropriate facility. Right. Who gets to determine what's appropriate? Who gets to determine that?
Yeah. Well,
that's scary to me.
That is scary.
Well, and it should be scary no matter where you believe, because if you are 100% in favor that everyone should be vaccinated, forced to be vaccinated if they don't want to be, and someone comes in power that doesn't believe that way, they can impose their agenda on you.
Yeah.
But it's reversed right now, and so this should be scary to everyone, no matter. Scary, I don't like really using that word because I don't believe in being fearful. It should be extremely concerning that this is actually, like, I think about what would have happened if this was 1800 and somebody presented this as something we should vote on.
Yeah.
I don't think good things would have occurred. I have some things in mind of what I think would have occurred. I'm not going to say them because I don't want to be accused of trying to start something or other. So,
but you see, this is the whole point of everything, though, Vince, is the fact that if they are allowed to do this, that would be what would spark something like what these generals are talking about. If they can just all of a sudden come and say, oh, we declare that you are a health hazard to other people because of this, A, B, or C, and throw you into some facility where you're never seen again, does that sound like communist China to you? Like we've
like it.
We've heard stories where they come and pick people up who are having churches, and they find out they've been doing underground churches. They pick them up on a bus and they're never seen again. That happens in China. Well, I mean, we have documentation of that. And this is what this sounds like. They could put you away. It says they could put you away for as long as they want to.
Whether this gets approved or not, I don't think it will. And I've heard, that it was perhaps pulled. I'm not exactly sure the status of it today. Whether it gets approved or not, though, The fact that this was even presented and has made it thus far is mind-boggling to me, that this would be America.
Yeah.
This is the United States of America. This is not Australia we're talking about. This is not Germany.
But this has happened in Australia.
It has.
Yeah. There was a story just last week where a woman was arrested because she had been with someone who tested positive for COVID, even though she didn't have COVID herself. She lied and said that she had the vaccine. They arrested her and they put her in a camp. And I think she was in there for 21 days. It might have been 14, but it seems like it was 21. And she documented a lot of it. But she was in this type of facility in Australia. When we did a story about this and talked about the camps there that they were making for this situation, we got an email from a gentleman that lived in Australia, and he said that we were being conspiracy theorists, that this wasn't true. But this woman documented it with her phone, and it was all over the media 2 weeks ago. And so it's definitely happening. That's not conspiracy. That is something that's happening, and they want to do it in New York. That should get people a little bit fired up. And hopefully, because of this gaining momentum and getting attention, people will stand against it and just have it removed, and it won't even ever be talked about again.
And it is getting people fired up.
Yeah.
Then that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Are we getting to a place in America where we're saying, here's a clear dividing line, what's going to happen? And when I saw this story about, it's from the Jerusalem Post, but it's also featured in the Washington Post, former U.S. Army generals urge Pentagon to prepare for potential civil war. It's not talking anything about the restrictions being put in place or the Omicron or anything like that. It's talking about what happened on January 6th. The point is, it's talking about the possibility of that. It's 3 former U.S. Army generals penned an op-ed in the Washington Post calling for the Pentagon to make preparations for another insurrection after the 2024 elections. Lists who they are. You can look that up if you'd like. But the letter ends by saying the military and lawmakers have been gifted hindsight to prevent another insurrection from happening in 2024, but they will succeed only if they take divisive action now.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, this is all divisive. How are we going to get there? It's looking more and more like we're getting there closer than we've ever been.
Yeah. Well, and you remember when this January 6th thing happened, they said it was worse than Pearl Harbor. It really wasn't worse than Pearl Harbor. It was just a bunch of people who breached the Capitol and were walking through there. There was some violence that had happened, but those were not people that normally would represent what a patriot stands for. People would not go and bash windows out and bust doors down and things like that. But people were invited in there. There was a video of it where the police opened the doors and let people through. And then we had video of people just casually walking through. They're talking about something like that could cause this civil war. But I'm saying to you today, and this is what I think both of us agree on, is they are making dividing lines right now that could lead to something like this. Not a January 6th situation, but a situation where they're telling you, Vince, that you can't go to the grocery store, you can't feed your family, maybe you can't get in your bank account unless you do what the government is telling you to do. We're talking about a vaccine today, but it could be anything, folks. We're not just saying that it's about a vaccine.
Absolutely.
You start giving the government power like this, and the government will begin to take more and more and more away from us. And that's what it's really about. And they're trying to get us to this point. I think they've really been trying to get us in a civil war for several years now. They've been using it with police brutality and race against race, but now...
Whether it's a civil war or not, it's about being divisive.
Exactly.
And drawing clear lines and then what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
We've got some calls that we want to get to. We've got some scripture we want to cover. Yeah. Which one would you like to do first, Doug?
You know what? We could probably just basically talk about what it says in Mark 13, because to me this lets us know that it's going to be brother against brother at some point. And this is talking about the end time in Mark 13.
Starting verse 11, it says, "But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do ye premeditate. But whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and the children shall rise up against their parents, shall cause them to be put to death."
And so, that is talking about end time events that happen there. Could that be talking about a civil war when it talks about brother against brother? Even if it's not talking about an actual civil war, we see this dividing line within our families now. We see brothers against brothers and family members against family members, to the point to where there are arguments, and there are people who say, look, don't come to Christmas, like you were talking about before. And so we're seeing this begin to happen, but the Bible does speak of it, and if it's talking about this situation or not, we just don't know right now. So,
all right. Well, we have time for at least one more call. Let's go to Kathy in Texas. Kathy, welcome to End of the Age.
Hello. Good evening, gentlemen. You guys stole my thunder. I had alerts from WorldNet Daily and Epic Times, and they were saying the same thing about New York setting up, but they said internment camps. And for WorldNet Daily, they were talking about the Pentagon was trying to get this chip that's almost invisible, nano, you can't hardly see it, for the virus, and determine whether or not you are infected with a cold or anything, and then know where you are. So you're right on point, and thank God my granddaughter is homeschooled. We're not having that here in this home.
Good.
We're going to praise the Lord, and we're going to walk in Jesus. And come hell or high water, that's what we believe in this home. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. We appreciate your call and your dedication to raise your child the way that the Lord is leading you to do. That's, oddly enough, that's a tough thing to do sometimes. The society says it should be done this way, and your family says it should be done this way, and you're over there going, I don't think I want to do it that way. So it's kind of a rough spot to be in sometimes, but when we're called to do something, that's what we're doing here. Yeah. We feel like we have a God-given purpose to share information like this, warn people about what's coming and how you can be prepared for it, and even though it's uncomfortable. I'm friends and family members with people that totally disagree with us, and that's okay.
Right.
I'm not mad at them wanting to shove them over in some other country.
Right. I don't want to get them in an internment camp.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have your opinion, and I can have mine, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'll still come help you change your flat tire when that happens. We'll be okay.
Right.
And so, we feel like we have a God-given purpose here, and we, work diligently every day to find these stories in the news so you can know what's happening in current events through a lens of Bible prophecy. Doug, we're running out of time. What do you want to leave us off with here today?
Just bottom line, remember, folks, that what we want to do is make sure that we are reaching the lost and teaching them about the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we want to always end with that on a positive note, knowing that Jesus is in control and He's on His throne, and one day He's coming back for us. Let's get as many people in the kingdom of God as we can.
Amen. I'm with you.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.